So the other night, I was watching the final season of My Hero Academia. The moments, the powers, the emotion, it's some of the best anime that I've seen so far this year, and I'm really enjoying it. It made me wonder though, what if I could recreate moments like these using the action figures? So today we're taking on that challenge. Here are the rules. Rule number 1, I have to recreate scenes from 4 heroes and each one gets 2 versions, anime and manga. Rule number 2, I can only use what comes with the figure, so no customs and no outside accessories. Rule number 3, the final photo I create at the end must be chosen by the community poll. It's time to go beyond plus ultra. This challenge is starting off with the main protagonist of the My Hero story, Deku, and we're using the Revoltech figure in his Gamma suit. When looking for a shot to recreate, I found this one during the ultimate move training where Deku just finished his shoot style move and is landing from the kick. I placed the arms where they needed to be, raised and bent the left leg, fixed the ankles, and then I also leaned the torso forward. After doing all of that, I think that the whole pose lined up with the manga pretty well. Now I'm switching over to an anime recreation for Deku, and this is where things almost went bad for our hero. Before I could even start, the leg popped off while I was resetting the manga pose from earlier, and this is the first time that this has actually happened in this series. Clearly some greater evil here was trying to mess up my plans of completing this challenge successfully. Perhaps someone with a shady look and a beard. Either way, I needed to fix this problem if I wanted any chance of completing this challenge. So I added a little super glue to the joint, and while that dries, I'm gonna just move over to the next hero instead. Okay, that was weird. This just showed up from Tyler Hero HQ Hobby Hour, and he left a note saying I'm not allowed to open this until I finish posing all of the heroes. I don't know what he put inside here, but I definitely need to find out, so let's get back to posing. Alright, while Deku's legs are drying, let's move on to an SH Figuarts My Hero figure, like Bakugo, and try something from the anime. Now, My Hero Academia has had a few movies released over the years, and in the latest one, You're Next, there's a moment where Bakugo, Deku, and Todoroki all go up against Dark Might. Bakugo has this shot where he's firing blast after blast, and it really caught my eye. Since this figure comes with similar effects, I figured this was the perfect chance to try recreating it. To get there, I swapped the faceplate, switched out the hands, and attached one of the explosive effects. I then raised both arms and spread the legs out a lot more to match what's seen in the shot, and once the shape was in place, the pose came together pretty fast. I think Deku's leg should almost be done healing, but let's go ahead and do Bakugo's manga pose while we're at it. For the manga recreation, I'm using the Team Up Missions cover from Volume 3. Here we can see Bakugo's in this charging pose with one gauntlet right up front and his legs bent like he's about to burst forward. I started with the gauntlet arm since that's the main focus of the shot. After that, I bent the front knee as far as the figure allowed. That part right there is the most important, and then I set the other leg back since that part isn't fully shown on the cover. Now Bakugo's torso doesn't bend as much as it does in the artwork, but I think once I got those angles right, or about as close as possible, the pose doesn't look too bad. So now that Deku's leg is fixed, I think we can finally go back and finish our anime recreation. This recreation is coming from the first OVA in Season 4, during one of the exam moments where Deku pulls off another shoot style move. Earlier, the manga pose showed him landing after the kick from shoot style, but this time I wanted to actually show the move in action. This Revoltech figure is perfect for this kind of pose just because of how dynamic it is. I started by matching the legs to the angle in the shot, and then I moved the arms into the places that they needed to go. The one thing I wish this Revoltech figure had was a bicep swivel. It doesn't, so you kinda have to compensate with the other joints to get the arm where you want it to go. But after working the torso, the legs, and head tilt, getting it pointed slightly down so you can still see the eyes, the pose started to line up. I mean, the pose is pretty much complete, so I could easily stop here, but in the scene we also see lightning coming from Deku using One For All, and the figure comes with accessories to do this, so I figured why not use them? There are these little ports around the suit on the legs, arms, and boots, and you can plug the effects into those spots. Once those were added in, it added way more energy to the pose and really brought it to life. I am glad that we were able to fix the leg issue and give this pose a shot, and honestly, it's kind of fitting that Deku did need a repair mid-video, because early Deku breaks something every other fight, between his arms, legs, fingers, so having one of the joints damaged on him before completing the pose does feel weirdly on brand. Now we do have a couple of other heroes to try out next, but before we can do that, I want to try one more version of Deku, because I have the final season look from SH Figuarts. It's a new suit, new articulation, and totally different feel from the Revoltech. For his manga pose, I used a later panel where Deku is sprinting forward. It's a clean running pose, lots of movement, and I think it's worth giving it a shot. And then for our anime pose, I picked a moment from his fight against Shigaraki, the one where he brings out Black Whip. And since this figure includes all of those effects, it felt perfect for this challenge. Getting the arms position was the main thing, then it was just a matter of attaching the accessories and tightening everything up. 2 quick recreations from 2 completely different moments, and honestly, this version of Deku handled both better than I expected. It's pretty nice having a Deku figure that can look good and holds up well when you start posing it like this. Now I actually happen to have a couple of other heroes from My Hero in figure form, and one of those is the Revoltech Ochako. SH Figuarts does have a version of this hero as well, but until I can get my hands on that one, we're going to be using this one. For my anime recreation, I picked this shot where Ochako is showing off her upgraded gear for the first time, and I thought it'd be fun to try that out with this figure. The pose itself wasn't too hard, the figure can hit most of the angles you need. The real struggle though was the neck joint on my copy. It gets loose in certain spots, so every now and then I'd have to adjust the pose. The head would either tilt too far back or also fall off completely. That happened a couple of times here and there, and it definitely slowed things down. Still, once I swapped the faceplate and hands and finally got the head to stay facing forward, the pose came together. Now let's go ahead and try a manga recreation like this one where Ochako's midair with her legs tucked, arms out, and is also using her wire upgrade. To match it, I started by bending the knees first since that's the main shape of the pose. Once the legs were set, I moved the arms into position and then adjusted the head tilt to line up with the panel. One of the few accessories included with Revoltech Ochako are her wires from her upgrade. These are fixed pieces, they aren't bendable wire unfortunately, but rotating them does add a little variation to the pose, and that's exactly what I did to try and match what was seen in the manga. And this is how the pose turned out. Alright, so let's see, that's Ochako done. We've done 3 heroes out of the 4 so far, which means I'm also getting closer to finding out what Tyler sent our way. But we still have to go ahead and finish things up with our final hero. We're moving on to Revoltech Mirko, and for the manga pose, I'm using this panel where she's basically launching straight at the enemy. It's one of those shots that just fits her and really showcases her quirk. Legs pulled in, arms forward, and hair flying back into the side. To get things close, I brought the arms up and out of the way and then pulled the left arm forward since that one's leading the charge. Once that was done, I raised both legs as high as the figure would let me. One of my favorite features of this figure is that they gave the hair some articulation, so I was able to move that over to sell that motion and nail even more of what was seen in the shot. There was just one thing that slowed things down a bit, and that's because Mirko's hair sculpt doesn't give you a ton of range for looking up, but I pushed it as far as I could and made it work with what the figure can actually do in other areas. Now that everything's lined up, I think this pose looks amazing. Mirko's one of those characters that I think just makes sense as a Revoltech. All that kick-heavy posing fits the joint system really well. And now that just leaves us with our pose from the anime where Mirko is doing this crazy kick. To match our reference, I twisted the torso, pulled her left arm back into a fist, and then brought up the right arm to match the frame. After that was done, I raised the left leg as high as the articulation would let me and did a little more torso twisting just to get the angle closer to the scene. We've completed all heroes for this challenge, and that means we can find out what's inside of Tyler's mysterious box. Now, he actually sent this before I started the challenge, but he wouldn't tell me what was inside exactly. All he said is that it would help with the challenge and that I would really enjoy it. Okay, so Tyler actually sent over the SH Figuarts Todoroki. This is actually awesome because that means we get to do a bonus recreation, which is a lot of fun. And Todoroki does have some cool moments in the series, the anime shots, the manga panels, and this figure comes with everything you need to bring those scenes to life, from the ice, the fire, everything. I think I want to start off with something from the manga, like this corner panel where he winds up for Flash Fire Fist Jet Kindling. I think that this is a pretty simple but intense moment as we can really feel the character's emotion in this pose, and we can also see that his fist is loaded with fire. The legs don't need anything wild for this one, it's mostly about the upper body, but once I added the fire effect, it matched the panel way better than I expected, and looks pretty awesome. And of course, like all the other heroes, we have to get an anime shot in, and I picked one of my favorite Todoroki moments, Flash Fire Fist Phosphor. For this one, I tried to keep things as simple as possible. I got the stance right, opened up the arms like we see in the shot, and then I also attached the effects the way they flare out in the scene. The good thing is that there wasn't much that had to be overthought here when doing this pose, since the accessories pretty much do all of the heavy lifting here for Todoroki, and I do like that they included the hairstyle that we see from that exact shot. Alright, we've officially made it to the finish line, and we have one last thing to do, the photo. This is the one you voted for, and it wasn't even close. Deku actually won the poll by a huge margin. I'm using the final season SH Figuarts version for this one. Out of the 2 Deku figures I used in this challenge, this one just felt like the best fit for a final shot. I'll be using things like this Hero HQ Hobby Hour diorama and these pillar effects from Tamashii Nations to really build out the scene. No more rules left, no mysterious box in the corner, just one last moment. And here it is. Doing all these recreations back to back kind of reminded me why I love these figures in the first place. It's not just about owning the character, it's the process of trying stuff and watching a favorite moment or character slowly turn into something real in front of you, just reliving that experience in a new way. And if this is how good it feels with my hero, I can't wait to see what we can recreate next.